Here are the 10 biggest breaking world news stories in the last 24 hours. From the rapidly evolving US-Iran agreement to renewed fighting in Ukraine, Gaza, and Lebanon, plus security alerts, aviation disasters, and major diplomatic moves, these are the developments shaping global headlines right now. In recent global governance news, the UN Security Council has unanimously demanded that the Taliban reverse its crackdown on women's rights in Afghanistan. This resolution highlights the international community's growing concern over human rights violations and governance issues in various regions. Additionally, South Africa is warning against the scapegoating of migrants as social tensions rise. These developments reflect a broader trend in global politics, where issues of governance and human rights are increasingly under scrutiny. As countries navigate these challenges, the call for accountability and justice is becoming louder. The next steps taken by the international community will be crucial in addressing these pressing issues and ensuring that fundamental rights are upheld across the globe. Two major aviation incidents have rocked Brazil and the United States in the past 24 hours. In Brazil, a tragic collision between two helicopters over Rio de Janeiro resulted in the deaths of 6 individuals. This incident has raised significant concerns regarding air traffic safety and the regulations governing helicopter operations in urban areas. Meanwhile, in the U.S., a B-52 bomber crashed shortly after takeoff in California, sparking investigations into the circumstances surrounding the incident. These accidents underscore the critical importance of aviation safety and the need for stringent compliance with regulations. Authorities are working diligently to uncover the causes of these tragedies and to ensure that such incidents do not occur in the future. The aviation community is on high alert as investigations proceed. Tensions are rising between Canada and the UK regarding security measures as they respond to the ongoing threat posed by Russia. Canada has implemented new sanctions in alignment with G7 efforts to restrict Russian access to critical resources. Meanwhile, the UK expresses alarm over a Russian warship's proximity to British waters, escalating fears about maritime security. This situation underscores the broader European anxiety stemming from Russia's aggressive military posture in recent years, particularly following its invasion of Ukraine. Diplomatic discussions are underway to address these pressing concerns, with both nations emphasizing the necessity of cooperation to counter Russian influence. The outcomes of these negotiations could reshape transatlantic relations, particularly in defense strategies and economic sanctions. As both countries navigate these complexities, the potential for a more unified approach to European security may emerge. Continued dialogue is essential, as it may lead to stronger alliances and more effective responses to future threats. In a significant domestic security development, the FBI announced that it has thwarted an alleged plot to attack a White House UFC event using drones. The investigation revealed plans for an explosive attack, raising alarms about the vulnerability of high-profile gatherings. This incident highlights the increasing sophistication of threats posed by domestic extremists, particularly as drone technology becomes more accessible. Authorities stress that this plot reflects a troubling trend in which traditional security measures may be insufficient to counter new tactics employed by would-be attackers. The potential for drone-based assaults introduces complex challenges for law enforcement, prompting discussions about the need for updated regulations and countermeasures. As investigations continue, further details will likely emerge regarding the individuals involved, their affiliations, and motivations. In response, the public can expect heightened security protocols at major events to ensure safety. Officials are committed to adapting their strategies to mitigate evolving threats and maintain public confidence in security measures at large gatherings. Failure in negotiations may exacerbate existing tensions, threatening global energy flows. Stakeholders are keenly assessing the situation as they prepare for possible scenarios ahead. Israeli forces have expanded their military operations in Gaza, resulting in at least 2 reported fatalities and a significant increase in civilian displacement. This escalation follows weeks of tension, with Hamas launching rockets into Israeli territory and Israel responding with airstrikes. The situation has become increasingly dire as residents flee northern Gaza amidst intensified assaults, seeking safety in overcrowded shelters. The Israeli government has justified these actions as necessary for national security, citing ongoing threats from Hamas and other militant groups known for their violent tactics. However, humanitarian organizations are raising urgent concerns about the escalating violence and its devastating impact on civilians, particularly vulnerable populations such as children and the elderly. With the region already facing a humanitarian crisis marked by food shortages and inadequate medical care, the latest developments could exacerbate the suffering of those caught in the conflict. International calls for restraint are growing louder, as analysts predict that without immediate diplomatic intervention, the cycle of violence may only deepen, further complicating future peace efforts. In a concerning escalation, Russian forces have intensified their attacks on Ukraine, targeting Kyiv and other major cities. This surge in violence has resulted in multiple fatalities and extensive damage to historic sites, including cultural landmarks that hold significant value for the Ukrainian people. The renewed strikes come amidst ongoing discussions among Western allies regarding the imposition of further sanctions and the provision of military support to Ukraine. The humanitarian impact is severe, with civilians caught in the crossfire and many fleeing their homes in search of safety. Experts warn that this escalation could not only deter peace negotiations, but also prolong the conflict, leading to greater instability in the region. Additionally, the attacks may strain diplomatic relations as nations grapple with how to respond effectively to Russian aggression. As the situation evolves, Ukraine continues to call for increased support from the international community, emphasizing the urgent need for a robust response. In the coming days, Western leaders will face critical decisions that could shape the future of both Ukraine and European security. Former President Trump has publicly expressed dissatisfaction with Israel's handling of the situation in Lebanon, particularly concerning tensions with Hezbollah. This criticism comes at a critical juncture when a fragile ceasefire is in place and regional diplomacy remains precarious. The ongoing conflict, marked by increased military activity, has raised alarms about a potential escalation that could destabilize the region further. Trump's remarks underscore the complexities of U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East, as he urges Israel to adopt a more measured and cautious approach to avoid provoking Hezbollah. The situation is complicated by Iran's significant influence in Lebanon, which could exacerbate tensions and lead to broader conflict. Analysts are closely monitoring these developments, especially as diplomatic efforts continue to stabilize the region. The future of the ceasefire remains uncertain, with the potential for miscalculations that could spark renewed violence. In the coming weeks, both Israel and Hezbollah will need to navigate this charged atmosphere carefully. The international community will be keenly observing how these dynamics evolve, particularly in light of upcoming negotiations aimed at sustaining peace. At the G7 summit held in France, leaders gathered to discuss pressing issues concerning Ukraine, Iran, and broader global security risks. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky addressed the assembly, asserting that Russia is not winning the war, despite ongoing conflicts. This assertion comes as Ukraine continues to receive military and economic support from Western allies. The summit also focused on potential new sanctions against Russia in response to its relentless aggression in Ukraine, which has prompted widespread condemnation. Leaders expressed their commitment to supporting Ukraine, emphasizing the importance of unity among G7 nations in tackling international challenges. The discussions underscored the urgency of addressing security concerns not only in Eastern Europe, but also in the Middle East, particularly with the evolving situation in Iran, where nuclear negotiations remain tense. As the summit progresses, further announcements regarding economic measures and military aid to Ukraine are anticipated, reflecting a robust response to threats against democratic values. The outcomes of this meeting could significantly influence international relations and economic stability globally, potentially reshaping alliances. Looking ahead, the G7's unified stance may pave the way for more coordinated efforts against authoritarian regimes, setting a precedent for future international cooperation on security matters. In a major development, former President Trump announced that a historic deal with Iran will be made public soon. This agreement is expected to rule out Iran's pursuit of nuclear weapons and may allow the country to immediately resume oil and fuel sales. The context of this announcement is rooted in years of tumultuous relations between the U.S. and Iran, marked by sanctions and military confrontations. The previous administration's withdrawal from the Iran nuclear deal in 2018 escalated tensions, but now a potential thaw in relations could redefine diplomatic dynamics. The implications of this deal are significant, as it could reshape global energy markets and stabilize tensions in the Middle East. Analysts suggest that the lifting of sanctions could flood the market with Iranian oil, potentially lowering global prices. However, critics argue that this could lead to increased Iranian influence in the region and exacerbate existing conflicts, particularly in Iraq and Syria. The balance of power in the Middle East could shift as Iran strengthens its ties with allies like Russia and China. As the details of this agreement emerge, the response from other nations, especially those in the G7, will be crucial in determining the deal's longevity and effectiveness. In the coming weeks, further developments are expected to clarify the terms and global ramifications of this groundbreaking agreement. Those are today's most important global developments. Which story shocked you the most? Please like and subscribe for more updates.